My wife is pregnant, but my balls are blocked. Late nights and a flirty text just exposed everything. I literally do not know what to do. This is a long story. Here's the TLDR at the bottom. My wife and I have been married for 3 years and together for 6. She's always been one of the most amazing people I've ever met. We've never had any huge fights, our love languages match up, and we're both fairly active people. This is why we've always had a really strong relationship for so long. That's also why this is so difficult for me. We've both been doing pretty well in our careers over the last few years. She's in marketing, and I work independently as an IT consultant, allowing me to set my own hours and be pretty flexible. We decided last year that we wanted to start a family. She's likely keeping her job full-time, and me scaling back to part-time. We've both been anxious but pretty excited to have our own kids. Long story short, I was diagnosed with a zoospermia last December. A blockage in the pipes just meant I wasn't actually producing any sperm when ejaculating. It's curable with surgery, thankfully, and we finally got it scheduled for this July. She's got a high sex drive, as do I, so we've still been very sexually active. But there should have been no way I could have gotten her pregnant. She missed her period this week. I couldn't imagine that she might actually be pregnant, right? The babies are bottled in until they get the blockage out. She took 3 tests, though, and sure enough, they're all positive. At first, I was stunned because this shouldn't be possible. She's never been unfaithful to me in the past and never given me a reason not to trust her. I'm not the jealous type, but I'm literally stuck. The doctor said this couldn't happen, and I can't believe my wife would jeopardize the future we've been so excited for over some flame when we seem to have such a great emotional and physical connection. My wife has been ecstatic, showing no indication of any guilt or worry that she may have cheated. She was so excited when she first found out that I didn't express my worries then, but she left for work, and now I feel completely torn. What if she did cheat? Looking back, there are a few tiny things that didn't seem to be an issue, but now have me racking my brain for clues. Her job often has her taking clients out for dinner, and it's not uncommon for her to get back later in the evening. She definitely had a busy last few months, but that's not uncommon for her job. She always wears one of the same 2 perfumes, but she came back one night smelling completely different. I remember seeing a text message on her lock screen of just a winky face another time, but assumed it was one of her girlfriends. I don't know what to do. I set up an appointment on Monday to see if there's any chance the pregnancy could be mine. If it is mine, and I accuse her of cheating, I feel like the world's biggest idiot. But she's coming home in a few hours, and I don't know what I'm going to say to her. I can't stop thinking of these small things that may have been her cheating, and I just didn't see it. Do I wait until the doctor's appointment on Monday before talking to her? Or do I bring up these insecurities while she's celebrating the pregnancy? I'm worried I won't be able to hide what's going on. My wife and I tried having a baby, but my balls are blocked. Surgery is scheduled for July. My wife got pregnant anyways, which seems ridiculous to think she cheated, but I was told I shouldn't be able to be fertile until after the surgery. She is celebrating, but I can't stop thinking about small occurrences and wondering if she might be cheating. I'm seeing the doctor on Monday to see if the baby could be mine. I want to wait until Monday, but I don't think I can hide my What do I tell her? Edit. I should add that I've been cheated on before. Our relationship has been pretty healthy, but that old fear is creeping back in now. I'm not sure how to just wait until the appointment. I really hope you all are right, that some freak sperm made it past the blockage. My wife is coming home in an hour, and I have to decide if I'm going to put on a happy face until Monday or not. Edit. She texted saying she's going to be home late, which is bringing up some old emotional scars. I think it's just effing with me. I'm usually never this insecure or uncertain about being straightforward. I think I need to find some way to bring it up without being accusatory. Update, TLDR. My wife and I tried having a baby, my balls are blocked, surgery is in July, and my wife got pregnant anyways. It seems ridiculous to think she cheated, but I was told I shouldn't be able to be fertile until after the surgery. My wife is celebrating, but I can't stop thinking about small occurrences, and what if she's cheating? I'm seeing the doctor on Monday to see if it could be mine. First, I just want to thank everyone who reached out and offered their story about a similar situation. I can't believe how many people are told they're completely sterile and end up being able to have kids anyways. I took a lot of what you guys said to heart. I had an ex of mine from years ago end up cheating on me, and it really left a scar for a while. It wasn't until I got more involved with sports and got in better shape that I was able to try and move on. My wife and I actually met in a soccer league we were in together. We've had so much trust for so long that I thought those fears had gone away. It wasn't until now that I really started to feel shaken like that again. But I didn't want to let my past get in the way of what could be just a huge blessing. A few people really articulated the right way to communicate my feelings in a way that wasn't accusatory and respectful of my wife, who's never really given me a reason to doubt her. It's not uncommon for her to sometimes be home late, and she'll usually like to go straight to bed. I didn't want to dump this on her immediately and decided to give myself a night to sleep on it. I got up pretty early, just being restless, went for a run and cleared my mind. I couldn't wait any longer. I made our favorite omelets and told her I needed to talk about something. You know, I'm not Ashley, right? She knows me well. Ashley's my ex who cheated. So first, I apologized. I apologized because I let this build up in my head for so long without talking with her about it sooner. What should be a blessing has been nothing but insecurity and fear for me. We talked for a while. I told her how happy it made me to see her ecstatic and excited for the baby. I told her how much I love the relationship that we've built together, and I felt like an idiot for questioning her loyalty. She had never given me a reason not to trust her, and that I still couldn't emotionally get over the thoughts of infidelity because of my ex. She thanked me for telling her, and she knew how hard it was for me to get over that. She volunteered to have us get a paternity test right when she's born, which made me feel a lot better at first, but something still felt off. I honestly don't know why. Something about how she was so eager to get a paternity test, and almost not mad at all for having kept this from her. Normally, she would have been upset that I didn't bring it up right away, but there was just a weird feeling I couldn't shake for the rest of the day. It seemed like she was saying all the right things, but I couldn't get rid of this clawing feeling inside my head. Maybe I'm just being paranoid, or maybe there's a gut feeling that I need to listen to. But I ended up going to the appointment alone, as we decided it would be good to see if I still needed the surgery. Turns out it's obstructive aspiria. I've read so many stories about people who were supposed to be infertile ending up getting pregnant, so I brought that up and how my wife's pregnancy was affecting me. The urologist thought it would be pretty unlikely that I wouldn't need surgery to have a kid, with how mine was presenting itself. He mainly tried to skirt around the topic and mostly push me towards making sure she was actually pregnant. Being there didn't really help. I feel like I just got more uncertainty. She had another night being out until 8:30 last night. We talked about scheduling an appointment to verify the pregnancy when she got home. She seemed a little confused at first, but then quickly agreed. She promised to do it in the morning. I asked how work had gone, and she gave me a kind of non-committal answer about her boss pushing her too much and being stressed out. There's nothing huge there, but she just seemed off. I really couldn't put my finger on it. We were still acting all lovely, but something just felt wrong, and I couldn't talk about it without repeating the same conversation we had on Sunday. I've been trying to throw myself into work to distract myself, but I haven't been able to focus. We have a joint checking account that will sometimes move money in and out of, but we really only use it for groceries or household items unless we talk about it beforehand. This morning, she moved half of it to hers, about $1,700. We don't do that. She's never needed to before, and I checked our healthcare portal, and she made the appointment for the one time on Thursday that I mentioned I was busy working on site. We were supposed to go together, and I'm starting to go crazy. How do I bring this up without it being me just having the same conversation again? I'm looking into getting a second opinion for myself, but I need a litmus test from objective outsiders to know if I'm really losing it, or if this seems weird to someone else. Good conversation about my ex cheating before, and those issues, something still felt off. Urologist said I had obstructive agia, implied I should make sure my wife is pregnant, and didn't think I could be fertile. My wife is taking money from the joint account and booked her doctor appointment when I can't go. Getting a second urology opinion, also slightly going crazy. Update: I've been trying to center myself. We talked calmly for a bit on the phone. She claimed she moved the money out in anticipation for the deductible payments she'll have with different visits. I didn't bring up anything else, but she seemed a little impatient with me, probably rightly so, and implied we'd have a longer talk when she gets home. I'm just trying to not overreact right now. I don't know what to think. This is either a misunderstanding on my side, and I'm a father, or not. Thankfully, she's not working late today. Thank you to those who are trying to keep me grounded. Update. I went for a long run to clear my mind, got a shower, and then my wife should be home. I'm going to go into the conversation with no judgment, just objectively walk out the facts and why I've still been struggling personally with some of them. Regardless of what happens, I'm done with any confusion left between us. Thanks to those who messaged me and gave advice. Update, and sorry to drag you all through the worst of my insecurities. I definitely channeled quite a bit of my negative stuff into what I posted, but hey, that's what anonymous people are good for sometimes, I guess. Anyways, we finally sat down after she got home last night. I told her everything that was going on, the urologist, the money, the upcoming appointment. I told her how, even with all her reassurances, too many suspect things kept happening. She agreed on how everything looked and immediately apologized. She didn't realize how much my last ex's cheating was still affecting me. She knew I was off going into the weekend, but thought we addressed that on Sunday. But I can get pretty internal with all these worries and not show them outwardly. And so while she had thought we were communicating, I wasn't. We decided to start from the beginning and go through everything together. The money was the real problem for me, and she agreed on how inconsiderate it was considering where my head was at to do that without mentioning it. Apparently, the prenatal visits are so structured that they want you to set up a payment plan with them right away, and she wanted to make sure it was squared away to keep the appointment. She offered, without any prompting, to call them with me tomorrow to verify that. Or if I really wanted, we could move the money back. She does get better rewards out of hers, so it kind of made sense. We read up on obstructive agita, and it doesn't seem like they're often invincible force fields. It seems like only the actual absence of the vas deferens (BAVD) actually guarantees complete infertility, so it is possible for some to get through. We're going to go back to the original specialist I was working with last year and hopefully get a clearer picture. It turns out the appointment she made was the only time they had available so soon, and I figured it would be best not to wait. I told her I took off work to go with, and she was relieved I could join once again. She said all the right things and seems genuine about getting us on the same page after going through each thing. I was just wishing I believed her a little more before she's stressed out with work and when she'll have to take off, but she really seemed to want to go out of her way to alleviate my concerns. She even offered an open phone policy if I needed. We did look at the text I had seen, and it was just about a girlfriend. I declined, though, right now since I don't want to be that husband. This has really made me take a deeper look at what's in my past and how that still affects me today. Even thinking back to this weekend, it was so hard to see in the moment how much all the uncertainty was affecting me. That level of anxiety literally makes you question what around you is real. I think trust but verify is the best way to put it. I was just trying to verify without any of the trust, and all this has put a strain on our marriage right now. But I'm feeling a bit more like we're a team again, working towards easing that. She thought that a NEPA SAP was a great idea, as long as we also get some kind of counseling together. I'm not big on therapy, but I can probably agree that it will most likely help. I'm feeling a little better about everything. Thanks again to everyone who reached out and shared their own story. Every other comment here I read was a story of a family member who was supposed to be barren and ended up popping out triplets. Most of all, those who helped me try to communicate fairly through all of this. It's time for me to hopefully be a father. TLDR, use your words. Wife and I objectively went through everything. We both apologize, getting an NIP soon, and hopefully a therapist. Update. The paternity test came back, and TLE positive for anyone that's going to see this story. 2 dating for 4 months. I'm the kind of person who cannot let dirty dishes rest in the sink for longer than an hour, flosses every single day, and is constantly scrubbing her bathroom. My boyfriend, not so much. I noticed pretty early on that organization and cleanliness weren't as high a priority for him as they are for me. At the time, I only noticed things like clutter on his floor and unfolded clothes, so I figured it was a normal level of bachelor slob and that I could live with it. I mean, I can get pretty messy too when I'm especially busy in the lab, and other things just take higher priority. However, as we have grown more and more comfortable around each other, he has really begun to relax and reveal the true extent of his bachelor habits. He will wear the same clothing for days on end, even if he worked out in them in the morning. He often avoids brushing his teeth, saying he'll do it after he eats, because then I could be even cleaner, and then he'll conveniently forget after breakfast. He doesn't wash his hair, because he read somewhere that the oils in your hair will reach equilibrium and you will no longer look greasy. This may be true for some people, but it does not seem true for him. Plus, I think you are still supposed to rinse your hair, just not use shampoo, and he doesn't always rinse his hair regularly because he will go multiple days without showering properly. He does usually shower right before seeing me, thankfully, but on days when I catch him by surprise, he is usually unshowered. I have not investigated his hairy man sass, but judging from smells once or twice during oral, I am not convinced he wipes well every time. One time, I walked in on him in the bathroom, and he was wiping his penis on the curtain after sex. I always go and pee while he throws away the condom, or that was the plan anyway. I helped him move out of his sublet this month and found something like 30 used condoms under his bed because he must just have forgotten. When he masturbates, he just lets his ejaculate dry wherever it may land. He thinks I don't know this, but the suspiciously discolored stiff spots on his blankets are one of many signs. He always washes his dick in the sink before we have sex and claims it is because he just really likes being clean. The one time I pinned him down and took off his pants for a sexy surprise, his pubes were all crusty. The thing is, as foul as all this makes him sound, he doesn't come off as obviously foul when you meet him. He doesn't smell horrible, just strongly like deodorant, which I suspect he rubs all over his body when he doesn't want to bathe. He is actually pretty stylish. He works as a programmer in a research context, spending most of his time alone or hanging out with equally gross computer scientists. So, there's been little incentive for him to clean up in the past because nobody seems to care that much. I am his first girlfriend, and probably the only one of his friends who is habitually close enough in his personal space to notice when his breath is funky or he is dirt encrusted on the back of his neck. Actually, most of the stuff I outlined above, he probably thinks I haven't noticed because he always tries to clean himself up and hide the signs if he knows we're meeting up. I suspect that a lot of his gross behavior is really just because he thinks he's getting away with it, rather than actually enjoying being this gross in itself. I've observed him getting a little cleaner when he finally realizes that other people are judging him. He started brushing his teeth and washing his clothes more often, for instance, and he often tries to pretend that he actually really prizes hygiene, even commenting on his coworkers' habits, etc. I've tried subtly hinting to him that he should clean up, and he always says, "Oh yeah, I should do that," and then he'll make sure to clean better right before I show up at his place. But if I ever spot him around town on a day when we don't have anything planned, he'll be all gross again. Clearly, subtlety is not working. However, I don't want to completely shame him either, nor do I want to have to be his mom and nag him all the time. I'm okay with a certain level of messiness. This isn't a total deal breaker for me, especially because the rest of our relationship is actually so darn good. I can even live with the general messiness of his home, personal space if we were to move in together. It's just his personal hygiene that really bothers me. I know that I can't really change him fundamentally, but can I at least get him to wipe his ass better? TLDR, my boyfriend is gross. What's the best way to get him to be just a little cleaner? Sad update. Previously, on last month's episode of Why Is This Shit My Life? I felt a lot better after reading all of your comments. I was feeling guilty about judging him for his hygiene habits because I know that different people have different attitudes towards cleanliness, and I am definitely on the obsessive end of the spectrum. I took your suggestions to heart and decided to just sit him down and get it all out in the open. I framed it both as a quality of life issue. He might get diseases, etc., if not clean, and a professional issue, as other people might notice and affect his career networking opportunities. I tried to be respectful but clear, and I stated that although I really like him and can see myself with him for the long term, if he continued not to wipe his ass properly, I would have to consider that a deal breaker. He was very quiet and didn't really have much to say at the end of the conversation, but he said that he was sorry that he had been making me uncomfortable and that he would try to shape up. He said that in particular because of his passion for his work, it's easy for him to lose track of time and forget to do things like laundry, and that he appreciated me for bringing up this issue. After that conversation about a month ago, I saw lots of positive changes. He did one load of laundry and dyed all his white shirts pink, which kind of worries me because I feel like this is something you figure out how not to do as a freshman in college, at the very latest. So, has he just never done laundry before? He started shaving and taking out the trash weekly and always smelled fresh whenever I saw him. He even cleaned the bathtub. I was really proud of his progress. I did notice that he would get frustrated when I pointed out things that he had missed, like always having dirty dishes in the sink or not washing the kitchen floor, which is currently really gross because someone tracked mud and dog shit all over it. Now, this is the bad part, where I'm ashamed of myself in the way I acted 2 nights ago. He was over at my place, and he was smelling a little funky, so I just asked him if he had brushed his teeth that day, and then offered him a new bottle of mouthwash if he wanted to use it. He completely blew up at me. He said that he didn't appreciate me treating him like a child, and that I needed to respect that he was an adult capable of making his own adult decisions, which were none of my business. I admit I didn't handle the situation very well. I got really mad and said that if he didn't want to be treated like a child, then he shouldn't act like a toddler who couldn't even wipe his ass. That set off one of those burn the fields and salt the ground type fights that last for hours. He said that I was being really controlling and condescending, and that I needed to watch myself because it was bordering on emotional abuse. He claimed that he was already really clean, especially now that he was showering every day, so I should stop nagging him about it. I tried to clarify that I was proud of him for showering every day, but he just took it to be passive-aggressive and got so mad. He called me an uptight bitch and took his coat and left the bedroom, slamming the door. I didn't know what to do, especially since we have never had a fight this intense before, and he has definitely never called me a bitch. So I decided to just keep on sitting in the bedroom and let him cool down until he was willing to talk reasonably again. But after 20 minutes, he still hadn't come back, and I couldn't hear him stomping around the common areas of the house anymore, so I started to get really worried. I mean, what if he had stormed out and gotten hit by a car? He also has a history of self-injury, so I was really concerned. I ran through the house and saw the light was on in the ground floor bathroom, and suddenly remembered that I had left my surgical kit on the sink. I know this sounds weird, but I work in a lab and don't want to keep my nice tools out because stuff gets stolen. And I suddenly got really scared that he had found it and it was quiet because he was cutting or something. So I burst through the bathroom door, and he was rubbing his penis on the curtain again, my curtain obviously. I flipped out and asked him what the hell was wrong with him, since there was TP right there in the cabinet. If he wanted to get a new roll, he got really defensive and restarted the fight where we left off. In retrospect, I guess it was kind of funny because he still had his penis out at this point. I just kept staring at my curtain and trying to resist the urge to slap his stupid face. I asked him what the hell he had been doing and why the hell he thought it was an appropriate thing to do. He said really angrily that it was my fault for yelling at him, and that anyway, it felt good. Would you rather me just not effing clean my dick because he asked. I'm pretty sure we just had a whole effing fight about this BS. I told him he was disgusting, and I was going to break up with him because he was such a disgusting slob. He said, "Are you really going to break up with me over a curtain? Really? Now? Is that how much you value our relationship?" And I shouted, "Yes, get the hell out of my house, you stupid prick," and pushed him out of the house. He tried to calm me down and apologize, but I just was so irrationally mad that I kept on slapping his arm and slammed the door in his face. Eventually, I heard his car start and drive away. I was still so mad that I didn't even apologize at the time and sent him a kind of mean text. "I can pick up my stuff in the morning. I know it must be hard for you to act like a human being, but please try not to wipe your penis on my things in the meantime." So that was 2 days ago, and I still haven't gotten my stuff. He finally texted me back yesterday afternoon and said, "I'm sorry about the curtain, and I'm sorry we're ending it this way. Can you call me now that I've calmed down? I really miss him. I promise he is really amazing as a person, and we've never had any kind of fight like this before. I feel like we were both acting in ways we never thought we'd act, and I also feel really ashamed of myself for some of the mean things I said. I feel like I hugely overreacted in the fight and definitely shouldn't have gotten physical at the end when I shoved him out of the house. I feel a little bit like the rhetorical crazy you shouldn't put your keys into. I wish there was some way to fix this, but I don't know how. I've never had a big relationship fight before. Also, even though I want to make up with him and apologize for my behavior and for pushing him, I don't want him to think that he can just backslide into gross habits again. I'm not sure how to navigate the conversation. I guess if we do end up breaking up, I'll have a lot of free time on my hands for new hobbies. Maybe I can learn DIY home improvement and remodel my bathroom, so some new curtains. That was a joke, but I'm sorry if it wasn't very funny because I am feeling really down right now. Also, sorry for the length, but I just had to get it out. My boyfriend is still gross. Also, we had a huge fight where both of us messed up, and I don't know how to fix it. Added info on the shower curtain. So I wasn't going to describe this because it makes the whole thing even more ridiculous sounding, and also I felt bad about basically stripping my boyfriend of his dignity on the internet. But there's been a lot of questions about this, and since I am heartbroken anyway, someone might as well get some entertainment from this. He was kind of holding his penis with one hand and slapping the curtain with it. I don't know how to describe it more than that. I think maybe he was trying to simultaneously shake off the pee and wipe the tip for efficiency. Final update. Since you all were so helpful before, I thought I would give a final update for anyone who was interested. So after I read all your comments last time, I didn't really know what to do. On the one hand, it really struck me when multiple people were saying that I must not have any self-respect to stay with and have sex with someone who was so unclean, and about how he was handling the situation so immaturely, as was I. But on the other hand, he really was the best boyfriend I've ever had, and I kept on missing him and basically behaving like a caricature of the lonely dump girl and craving ice cream. I mean, it's not like he never wiped his sass, and he really was trying at the end. I kept on thinking that maybe I had not described the situation properly, and if I was better at explaining it, people wouldn't have piled up on him so much. I just kept on going back and forth and becoming more and more anxious that I wasn't going to make the right decision and getting more and more anxious about how to respond to his text. I worried about how we'd probably have some drawn-out, multi-hour-long conversation about the state of the relationship if we did reply, and about how I had a ton of finals coming up that week and couldn't afford to be anxious about this, which, of course, only made me more anxious. When I get anxious or scared, unfortunately, my response is to freeze and avoid. So I just didn't respond to his text at all, thinking that maybe if I slept on it, I would come up with what to do the next day. I kept on rereading his text again and again instead of working, so I decided to turn my phone off so I wouldn't be distracted. I don't have that many friends here anyway, so I figured nobody would be looking for me. He emailed me a couple of times on my school email, but it was just stuff like, "Hey, did you get my text?" So I ignored it. When I turned my phone back on about 2 days later, there were literally like 50 missed calls and tons of texts. They started out kind of nice, just asking what I thought and saying he missed me. But by the most recent text, he was just calling me a bitch and telling me to go fuck myself, and how ugly I was, and how nobody liked me. In between calling me nonstop, I seriously did not know what to do. I haven't dated that many people before, but I'm pretty sure this is not normal behavior for a breakup. For the rest of the day, I kept on getting texts and emails from him. All the emails were really harmless sounding for some reason, but all the texts were really mean. I kept on trying to ignore it and avoid the situation. Yeah, kind of a pattern. But eventually, after a couple more days of this bullshit, I finally put my big girl pants on and texted back, "I don't want to talk. Please stop contacting me." And I blocked his phone number and set a filter to send all his emails to spam. I figured he would get bored of trying to contact me eventually and calm down. After I sent that text, he didn't really try to contact me via any other avenues, and we don't really have mutual friends to worry about. So I figured we would just avoid each other, and that would be that. Plus, it was finals week, so I wasn't going to go out anyway. Plus, I'm not super social, so whatever. After my last exam, I decided to celebrate by going out to get beers with my housemates, who were pretty nice, even if we don't hang out a lot. At the bar, I saw Matt. He tried to make eye contact, but I just avoided him and had a good time with my housemates for the rest of the night. When we got back home, he was sitting on my front steps. He stood up when we got there and asked if we could talk. I didn't really want to, but I figured we were at my house, and 2 of my housemates are pretty strong guys, so it's not like anything would happen. Plus, I thought maybe it would be good for him to have closure. So I said, fine, but only for 5 minutes, and asked my housemates to wait for me inside. The first thing he asked me was why I didn't reply to his texts, and that it hurt his feelings, which I thought was kind of BS, so I told him that he hurt my feelings with his texts. He was saying things that were really out of line. I also mentioned that I was not interested in engaging further with him, and that I had already asked him not to contact me again. Then he started apologizing, saying he didn't know they would hurt my feelings. He explained that he was just texting random stuff to try and get a rise out of me because he was upset that I was ignoring him. He didn't mean any of the hurtful stuff, and he was really sorry that he had been acting out. He was so stressed with quals that he missed me so much and was just thinking about me every night. He understood if I didn't want to interact with him again after what he put me through, but could we please just try again? I let him talk for a couple of minutes, and as I listened, I just kept getting more and more frustrated because it just sounded like such BS. But I didn't want to escalate like I did last time, so I just let him finish. Then I tried to say really calmly that originally I had been thinking about maybe trying again, but after all the craziness of the texts and how upset they made me, I didn't think it was a good idea. He said he was even more upset with himself and missed me so much that even though he had quals coming up, he really couldn't focus on them. He was probably going to fail his quals if we didn't get back together, because he just couldn't think of anything else. I told him that I was really sorry, but I was not comfortable interacting with him anymore. I would like him to not contact me ever again, and I was sure he would manage to pass his quals without me. At this, he started sputtering and getting really mad and called me a BCHET again. So I opened the front door quickly, and luckily one of my big housemates was waiting for me by the kitchen table. He stood up and told Matt, "You need to shut up and leave my house right now." So, thank God, Matt just gave up and left. For the next week, I started getting texts from a different number that were clearly from Matt and emails from different email addresses, mostly angry stuff about how he hoped I got what was coming to me. I just blocked everything by the end of the week, and the emails kind of petered out again. It was a huge sigh of relief. I managed to pass all my exams, even through all this stress, which was another huge sigh of relief. And finally, I've been hanging out with my housemates more, especially the guy who made Matt leave. It's been really nice having new friends. They're really funny and awesome. After I told them about all the crazy stuff that happened and how totally disgusting Matt was, they went out and got me a breakup box with ice cream, chocolate, Clorox wipes, and a brand new shower curtain. TLDR. Feeling so much better now that all this craziness is over and ready to clean the mess out of everything I own. Hopefully not a pun, unless my ex has left me any other strange surprises.